Hey everyone, it is Dave. Welcome in. It is time for module number 7. This is our last module with any material in it for the final exam. So remember, you do have some flexibility as we head into module number 8, which will be the following week. Module 8 just contains the link to turn in the journals, numbers 7 through 12, as well as the final exam. As far as the final exam and the journals go, you have until October the 4th, that is our last day, official day of class, to turn those projects in. Now this week we're going to be dealing with the last of the art movements of the modern art movements of the 20th century. So we're going to be dealing with Futurism, which leads us right into World War I. We're going to be dealing with Surrealism, which is something that's kind of really cool. You know, normally we look at like Fauvism, Futurism, something that only lasts a short amount of time, maybe 5 years. But Surrealism lasts like 20 to 30 years. So it's always kind of fun to be studying those types of artworks. We have Abstract Expressionism, which is my favorite, as well as a documentary this week. It's called Who the F is Jackson Pollock? This is a documentary about a retired woman who was a long-haul truck driver during her career, and she buys a painting at a thrift store for $5. Well, it turns out that this could be an undiscovered work by Jackson Pollock, one of the most famous abstract expressionists, and she's asking today $50 million for it. The documentary basically traces her way of authenticating that work of art. We do have a discussion board on Futurism, and then we have the 2 journal entries. So let's head over to Canvas. I'll walk you through this week's module. All right, here we are on the Canvas site. You can see we're down to just one more module left that I'll open up next week. And then this week is module number 7. So for this module, we've got our normal video up here. We'll take a quick look at the introduction. And again, this is the last of the material you need to go over prior to the final exam. We have a lecture on Futurism, Surrealism, ABEX, and the documentary. This week, we do have a discussion board to finish. That's the only new project. And then journals 11 and 12, and that will finish out the journals as well. My office hours every Monday and Wednesday, 4:30 to 7 p.m. And then the lecture on Futurism is rather short, but there is a good amount of further exploration material that you do need to go through. This is kind of an extension of Cubism, but it adds like this really cool element of motion, of dynamism. And this is also a very political art movement, as we go right into the very first World War. Now, Surrealism is a lecture not by me. It is by another person. She does a wonderful job talking about it, so you have that lecture to watch, and just one very quick video in the further exploration section. For Abstract Expressionism, this is a fascinating art movement because we are no longer in Europe. World War II has ended, and we have now shifted the center of art to America, specifically New York City. And we have a totally new way of creating art, led by this guy named Jackson Pollock, who is also the main person, of course, in the documentary that we're going to be watching this week. The lecture here, the study guide, and I want to touch on the further exploration material, just because there will be at least one question on the exam that deals with this auction video here. And it is amazing how expensive these abstract expressionist paintings are. For the other 2 segments here, I've got a trailer for the movie Pollock and also a segment of the movie. And this is a movie that was up for Best Picture. Most of the actors and actresses in this film were up for as well Academy Awards. So it's something that you may want to consider watching on your own after this semester is over. And it's just a really great film. After that, we have the documentary. So the documentary is about this lady here. Her name is Terry Horton, and she finds a painting at a thrift shop, She pays $5 for it, and this could be an undiscovered Jackson Pollock painting. And so the documentary goes about her way of authenticating this painting. Please keep in mind that this is going to be one of the essay questions on the final exam. So make sure that you spend time watching the documentary, as well as submitting that movie guide for journal entry number 12. So it's just like the Medici movie guide, where we wrote down some facts about the film and submitted that in the first half of this semester. We'll let the movie guide open here. And up top, we have all the actors. This is the way that they are presented in the film. But more importantly, at the base, do you think Terry's painting is an authentic Jackson Pollock painting? Which do you think is more important, scholarship or science? Where do you see division amongst the social classes? Who can we trust in this film? What are the biases that you see? Consider the impact of authorship. How much money should Terry sell her painting for? And your favorite character and why. Also, what does Terry do from here? Consider that the documentary leaves this story open-ended. What advice would you offer Terry for her painting? And that is journal entry number 12. For journal entry number 11, we have you giving some responses to the Futurist Manifesto. The Futurist Manifesto is the very first time we have a manifesto in art that really, before art is produced, they explain what the art is about. And again, a very political, sometimes very scary ideas are brought up in this manifesto. And I hope you enjoy reading it. It is actually one of my favorite art historical readings because it is so out there. And you can't believe that some of the times you're reading what you're reading. If we were in class, we would actually read this together as a class. After that, we have the discussion board on futurism. So this is a futurist painting. It is by Gino Severini. And what I want you to do, several things. The very first thing you should do is read the manifesto. But after that, you want to kind of just stare at this painting for a while and write down all the things that you notice, that you observe. After that, answer the question, what do you think the title of the artwork means? Which is Visual Synthesis of the Idea, War. Also, answer the question, why do you think that the artist left out human presence? You also want to post a reply, just like we do with all the other discussion boards, to one other group member's posting. 5 points for the observations, 5 for question 1, 5 for question 2, and 5 for the response. The post needs to be done by the 29th, and a reply must be done by Friday, October 4th. That is the last day of our class. So you want to mark that on the calendar as well, because we will be ending on a Friday. You do not get that last weekend to complete work. So next week, I will be back to tell you about Module 8. In it, you're just going to have the final exam, and you're going to have the submission form for the journal entries. So you do have a little bit of flexibility with the material in Module 7. For instance, if you do the lectures this week and you want to do the documentary next week, that is fine as long as you do it prior to the exam. So with that, I will see you all one more time to tell you about Module number 8.